Hi scientists! Today we're going to talk about patterns of biodiversity and how they lead us to the theory of evolution. So first, biodiversity is like the variety of living things that we have on Earth. So we can talk about within an ecosystem, all the different kinds of living things that we have, plants, animals, fungi, bacteria. And we can also think about the variety that we have within a species, right? Within a population of, say, deer, right? Not all of those deer are exactly the same, right? They have variation within themselves. So the patterns of biodiversity that scientists observe lead us to the theory of evolution. So our big idea for this lesson is that evolution is supported by evidence from past and present organisms. When we're talking about evolution, we're talking about changes in populations over many generations or long periods of time. So the shift in the characteristics of the species over many generations. So today we're going to talk about 3 patterns of biodiversity that are observed by scientists that help us understand how evolution happens. So first, scientists observe that species vary globally, which means that similar but unrelated species live in different unconnected areas of the world that share similar environments. So in biomes or ecosystems that have similar biotic and abiotic factors, right, perhaps the climate is the same, perhaps other species are the same, we see species independently evolve to be like one another. So they're not direct relatives of each other, but sort of through the course of evolution have found a path to end up looking or being quite similar. So an example of this is rheas, emus, and ostriches. So rheas are found in South America, particularly Argentina. Emus are found in Australia, and ostriches are found in Africa. So these are all pretty large flightless birds, and if you look at them, they look pretty similar, right? They look like they could be, say, cousins, right, or related species. But in actuality, they evolved on very separate paths. They don't share a common ancestor until quite far back, and they evolved in this way to sort of fit the similar environments that they live in. So rheas, emus, and ostriches look similar because they're in similar environments, but are not closely related to one another. They evolved on separate paths. Next, we have species that vary locally. So this is related but different species that live in connected areas of the world that have different environments. So we're thinking about a small location, relatively small, and then within that location, there's some different environments, right? Some areas with different biotic and abiotic factors. And so species started at one point, sort of close in the evolutionary history, and then evolved to be different to fit those different environments. So an example of this is the Galapagos finches. So there was probably an original population of finches on one of the Galapagos islands, and then as they migrated to the different islands, they started to evolve separately. So on each island, and even on the same island, there are multiple different species of finches, right? Finches that have different characteristics to sort of fit and be able to survive well in the environment that they live in. So they have a close common ancestor, and then they evolved based on the environments that they have, or that they find themselves in. Finally, scientists observe that species vary over time. And our evidence for this is that fossils of extinct animals are similar to animals that are alive today. And this is true of plants as well, I think a little easier to see in animals. So my example for this is the glyptodon and the armadillo. So you can see that the glyptodon is this large armored creature, probably about as tall as a person. And obviously glyptodons are not alive today. But what we see is that they are very, very similar to the armadillo and found in similar locations to the armadillo. And so scientists understand that the armadillo is a descendant through many, many, many generations of evolution of the Glyptodon, and we understand that those two species are related. We'll look at these examples in more detail and more examples in class, but if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below.